Continuing from the previous episode 830. What do you mean? Xiaoman raised his forehead slightly, puzzled. All of our creatures, including magical beasts, many medicinal herbs, or some wonders of the world, are born with the power of heaven and earth, but as our strength becomes stronger and stronger, it is so powerful that it shakes the repetition of heaven and earth, so the strength reaches to a certain extent, it will attract something called heavenly tribulation. The horror of the catastrophe is indescribable, but one thing is certain, no creature wants to cross the catastrophe. After all, under the catastrophe, all thoughts are in despair, and there is only such a small chance of success. If it fails, it will undoubtedly turn into dust, but if it succeeds, I am afraid it will turn into a butterfly. Soar, but the chance of success is too small, almost zero. Tian Wangshen said slowly, his voice was full of helpless voices, obviously even Tian Wangshen was a little powerless. Can't you avoid it? Xiaoman heard the words and raised his head slightly. He could hear the horror of the calamity from the mouth of Tian Wangshen. How can this thing be avoided so easily? As long as there are wonders in the world, 10,000 years is a catastrophe, 50,000 years is another catastrophe, and 100,000 years is another catastrophe. Under the three tribulations, countless wonders of heaven and earth all fell away. However, if you can truly survive the three tribulations, you will undoubtedly advance to another level, and at that level, I am afraid that this world will be difficult to compete against. Tian Wangshen said, your trip is. Dazi suddenly thought of something and hurriedly spoke. Yes, this time I'm actually here to say goodbye to both of you. Among the group of human beings who entered the ruins this time, there is one who should be able to help me overcome the calamity, so I have to give it a try, otherwise there will be no time. Tian Wangshen said, it's too dangerous. Dazi said immediately after hearing this. I have to go even in danger, otherwise this is my last chance. Tian Wangshen shook his head and said, since that's the case, what can we do to help you? Dazi heard the words and was not persuading Tian Wangshen. He knew that if Tian Wangshen didn't fight for this last chance, he would have to wait to die in vain. That appearance is obviously not the two of them. What the reader wants to see. After I leave, the medicine garden will be handed over to you. Tian Wangshen smiled and didn't say anything more. Yes. Dazi and Xiaoman heard the words. They both knew the decisiveness of Tian Wang Ginseng. Are you coming back? Xiaoman said in disbelief. I succeeded. I will definitely come back, don't worry. After Tian Wangshen finished speaking, it suddenly turned into a silver streamer and disappeared in the center of the medicine garden. Big Kai, do you think he will succeed? Xiaoman said, looking at the body of Tian Wangshen's departure. I don't know. You also have 5,000 years of life now. I'm afraid you will know that day. Dazi heard the words, and then looked around, and then stopped talking. You must succeed. Xiao Manwei prayed to Tian Wangshen in his heart. As for the heavenly king Ginseng, he had already left the center of the medicine garden and headed towards Xiao Yan and the others. Having holy flame, and I see this huge soul power, if I expected it well, I'm afraid this guy will be an extremely good alchemist. But these are not important anymore. If this guy can help me successfully overcome the calamity, then this body is worth giving him. After the calamity, my body will be a 10,000-year-old heavenly king Ginseng. It's really cheap. After heavenly king Ginseng finished speaking, a trace of grief suddenly flashed in his eyes. The heavenly king Ginseng now has a lifespan of nearly 10,000 years, so the effect of today's heavenly king Ginseng is probably stronger than any blindly heavenly king Ginseng known to Xiao Yan. Are you okay? Xiao Yan asked Mu Yingying and Yueru beside him. I don't know why, just after separating from the others, the second daughter suddenly became quiet, letting Xiao Yan explain anything along the way without interrupting, but Xiao Yan, relying on his keen soul power, seemed to feel that there was something between the two. It's okay. Seeing Xiao Yan's concerned eyes, the two girls hurriedly spoke. You, the two women said at the same time, and then looked at each other at the same exit. We're fine, let's find the herbs you need first. I don't know what else you need. In fact, Mu Yingying has always been a person of indifference to the world, but facing Yueru, she actually faintly felt an inexplicable threat. That's why she did this. Heavenly King Ginseng. Xiao Yan looked at Mu Yingying and said, but did not take it to heart. After all, although Xiao Yan felt that the two women were strange, He did not think about the relationship between men and women, because the woman who was now pressing on Xiaoyan's shoulders, there are too many things, and Xiaoyan has no such thoughts. Tianwang ginseng? What is that? Mu Yingying still looked like a blank piece of paper, and she didn't understand every new word that Xiaoyan said. You don't know that? The so-called Heavenly King ginseng is said to be the best among ginseng. Heavenly King ginseng. This ginseng is a great tonic for us human beings. It is said that it can enhance human strength. The medicinal materials only exist in some strange places, and it is said that the origin is quite mysterious, but it is said that it is the best material for refining some bodies. Yu Ru glanced at Xiaoyan indifferently and then said, "But why are you looking for this thing?" Yu Ru suddenly became suspicious the next moment. This guy. Facing Yu Ru's question, Xiaoyan was slightly startled. But the next moment, Xiaoyan directly summoned the golden demon puppet and said, "Have you seen this guy? I'm looking for Heavenly King ginseng just to increase the strength of this guy. After all, you've seen it before. This guy is a good helper in the fight." That's it. Yu Ru heard the words and felt relieved. She originally just asked casually. After doing all this, Yu Ru put her eyes on Mu Yingying, and just wanted to say something, but she saw Mu Yingying's vigilant gaze. Someone's here. After a while, a trace of blue flames flashed on Mu Yingying's body, and then her vigilant eyes pointed towards a big tree in front of the three, and said softly, "This guy, what a terrifying flame." Yu Ru was shocked when she saw this. The blue flame of Mu Yingying might be on par with the mysterious flames on Xiaoyan's body. The strength is also unpredictable. Who? Come out. When Xiaoyan heard the words, he immediately turned his attention and found a figure sitting on the big tree quite leisurely. The figure was covered in silver, and it seemed to be covered by a layer of silver light film, but the next moment, the man stood up slightly, then smiled at Xiaoyan and his party. "I heard you are looking for me. Then I won't invite myself. Today is the 4th watch, next week will be the end of this month, and the last wave will break out." End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 831. Heavenly King ginseng? Xiaoyan was shocked when he saw this. Others don't know Tianwang ginseng, but Xiaoyan, as an upright pharmacist, can't fail to know it. Although Tianwang Shen looks like a human now, the silver light film on his body is the best proof. That is clearly the root of Tianwang ginseng. Into a human form? 10,000 years Heavenly King ginseng? But the next moment, Xiaoyan moved extremely fast and directly protected the two daughters behind him. Facing Xiaoyan's sudden scene, the two girls only felt warm in their hearts, but still looked at Xiaoyan suspiciously. "I can't tell, you're a very sharp boy." Seeing the situation, the King of Heaven said with a slight smile. But Xiaoyan's face was extremely ugly. All the strange things in the world will experience catastrophe. Xiaoyan knows this. However, Xiaoyan also knows that only the wonders of heaven and earth that reach the level of fighting immortals can have the ability to temporarily transform into human beings, and if they want to truly become humans, I am afraid that they must wait until their strength reaches the level of fighting immortals and transform into human bodies. But if it is converted, then the strength of the heaven and earth wonders will instantly drop to the level of a one-star fighting emperor. The pressure and feeling that the Heavenly King ginseng in front of him gave Xiaoyan was like a fighting immortal, so there was such a scene of Xiaoyan. "If I really have the strength to fight immortals, I'm afraid that today, you won't have such a good conversation with me here." Tian Wangshen didn't want to scare Xiaoyan, after all, he still had something to ask for. The wonders of heaven and earth, including the medicinal materials of magical beasts, all those who have survived for 10,000 years have survived the first catastrophe, so their strength is not much different from that of human beings. This guy. Xiaoyan still endured, kept talking. Xiaoyan is very clear about demon beasts, medicinal herbs or other wonders of heaven and earth. The wonders of heaven and earth have survived the first catastrophe, and their strength is the same as that of human beings. No need to guess. Tian Wangshen got up slightly and said to Xiaoyan, "Is something wrong?" After Xiaoyan felt a good sense at the next moment, he also found that the breath of the Heavenly King ginseng was strange, and immediately opened his mouth. "Are you a pharmacist?" Tian Wangshen asked directly without being a slacker. "Not bad." Xiaoyan nodded naturally when he heard this. Heavenly King ginseng is one of the last two herbs used to refine his ancestor Xiaozan, and as long as this Heavenly King ginseng has not survived the first catastrophe, then Xiao Yan is naturally not afraid. Actually, my situation is similar to what you guessed. When Tian Wangshen heard the words, he immediately laughed, and his voice was full of relief. Almost? The three of Xiao Yan were obviously puzzled by the words of Tianwang Ginseng, and they didn't know what medicine this guy was selling in the gourd. I've lived for almost 10,000 years. After a while, Tian Wangshen said slowly, his voice full of helplessness. Nearly 10,000 years? Could it be? When Xiao Yan heard the words, he suddenly thought of something, and immediately opened his mouth. Do you want to convert to human beings? The next moment, Xiao Yan just asked. However, as Xiao Yan's voice just fell, Mu Yingying suddenly experienced some subtle changes. That's right. When Tian Wangshen heard the words, he didn't rush to deny it. My dear, do you know that your strength has not yet reached the level of Do Xian? If you rashly switch to human beings, you may have a great chance of failure. Xiao Yan thought for a while and said, the current strength of this heavenly King Ginseng is probably comparable to King Xuanling, or even stronger than King Xuanling. According to Xiao Yan's guess, this guy's strength may have reached the peak level of Do Di. It's just that Tianwang Ginseng is made of medicinal materials, and its attack power is not strong. Even so, if the powerhouses at the peak of Do Di want to kill Xiao Yan and the others, I'm afraid that Xiao Yan and others will be helpless. I know, that's why I came to find you. When Tian Wangshen heard this, he seemed to smile casually, but he was staring at Xiao Yan, obviously with bad intentions. Free labor? Then you'd better look for someone else. Xiao Yan sneered. You're really a sly boy. Aren't you afraid that I will kill all three of you? Fairy Moon Fairy's inheritance rune. 2 holy flames. Tisk tisk tisk. Seeing Xiao Yan being so cunning, Tian Wangshen immediately laughed. The corners of his mouth curled into a dangerous arc. You can try it. I'm afraid you won't be so easy to deal with the inheritance runes of Urduo Sheng Yan and Fairy Moonlight. Xiao Yan was still not afraid of Heavenly King Ginseng, and laughed as well. Okay, let's not talk nonsense. If you can help me successfully overcome the calamity, then I will promise you everything in news you want. Seeing that Xiao Yan is also a cunning guy, the Heavenly King immediately had to throw an olive branch. Haha, although I didn't help the heaven and earth to survive the calamity, but you are so fearful of your dignified Do Di peak strength, I'm afraid this thing is not good, right? Xiao Yan said cautiously, indeed. Since you are an alchemist, you should know about the Pill Thunder Tribulation, right? The power of the heavenly tribulation should be 10 times stronger than the strongest Dan Thunder Tribulation you know so far. Heavenly King Shen said slowly. 10 times? Xiao Yan felt his scalp tingle when he heard the words. The Dan Thunder Tribulation is so terrifying, so if this calamity is to come, I'm afraid. Heavenly robbery is different from what you call Dan Lei robbery and life and death robbery. If the wonders of heaven and earth want to break free from the shackles of this world, they must use the catastrophe as a guide to temper the whole body, whether it is the body or even the soul. They need to be tempered and baptized in the catastrophe. That kind of tempering, a little carelessness will lead to a fall. Tian Wangshen said with fear, I need your body. Xiao Yan hesitated. This is no problem. Tian Wangshen naturally smiled when he heard the words. As long as he survives the 10,000-year calamity, when he is converted into human beings, Tian Wangshen and him are 2 separate individuals. At that time, it can be said unceremoniously that Tianwang Ginseng is a part of his body. As for the body of Tianwang Ginseng, it is a 10,000-year level medicinal material that has lost its form. A real human being with medicinal power. However, with such a dangerous thing, I'm afraid it's not worth the risk for me to take the risk for you just for a little benefit? Xiao Yan also knew the horror of this catastrophe after listening to the description of the Heavenly King Ginseng and his readily agreed answer. Moreover, Xiao Yan knew that this Heavenly King Ginseng must be begging for himself, otherwise he would not waste so much talk with him here. I can help you get the power of the fighting soul. And I also know a little about the fall of the fairy moon. After Tian Wangshen finished speaking, he suddenly laughed at Xiao Yan and the others. Obviously, Tian Wangshen knew that such a huge attraction was not afraid of Xiao Yan's failure. Hook. Deal. Xiao Yan immediately smiled with relief upon hearing this, and there was also a fiery glow in his pupils. Ask for a ticket. Today's 5th update, end of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 832. Little guy, You're actually plotting against me? Tian Wangshen looked at Xiao Yan's cunning smile, and immediately had a taste of being plotted by others, and immediately said, He, how dare this junior to plot against you? Xiao Yan said with a grin, if you help Heavenly King Ginseng, you will not only get the body of Heavenly King Ginseng, but also help Yueru to obtain inheritance, plus that mysterious fighting spirit, so many benefits. How could Xiao Yan not agree? But isn't that fighting spirit only absorbed by the fighting immortal strong pendulum? What the senior said just now? Xiao Yan suddenly remembered something and asked immediately. Haha, fighting spirit. This thing is very mysterious, and it is indeed something that only the strong immortals can absorb. However, a strong Do-D can also obtain Do spirit through some special methods. Although it can't be absorbed in a short period of time, when you cultivate to Do immortal in the future, you will be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Tian Wangshen said with a smile. A special method? Xiao Yan was immediately puzzled when he heard the words, but he admired Heavenly King Ginseng. The existence of the fighting spirit is actually specially prepared for the strong fighting immortals. The fighting spirit is extremely rare, the eyes are already aware of it, and the power is not bad. There are a total of 108 Daqin worlds. Tian Wangshen said slowly. 108? I just don't know what this fighting spirit is used for. Xiao Yan wondered. I don't know the specific purpose of the fighting spirit, but you need to know. The reason why Do Xian is stronger than Do-D is not only because of the power of life and death, but also because of the existence of the domain and the fighting spirit. Tian Wangshen thought for a while and said, You don't know the role of the fighting soul? Xiao Yan asked a little depressed. I'm not a human, so of course I don't know, but don't worry, I will naturally have a way to help get the fighting spirit. Tian Wangshen faced Xiao Yan's question, his face slightly moved. How to get it? Seal? Xiao Yan asked immediately after hearing the words. Yes, I can use some methods to seal the fighting spirit in your body. When you cultivate to Do immortal in the future, you will also save time to find Do spirit. Tian Wangshen said, It's really a bold idea. Xiao Yan was shocked when he heard this. But even so, as long as the fighting spirit does not fall into the hands of others, Xiao Yan is not afraid. That's good. Xiao Yan heard the words, but he didn't press any questions. The thing about the fairy moon. What's going on? Seeing that Xiao Yan had no problem, Yueru spoke immediately. Obviously she was full of doubts about fairy Zhao Yue. Fairy Moonlight is not actually a human being on the Xuanling continent. She is from another plane. She was also a strong man at the level of fighting immortals, but she has no idea how to provoke a foreign evil clan and was killed by 2 honorable people. The evil races from outside the territory fought, and finally fell with hatred, and such a ruin was born. Tian Wangshen seemed to know a lot of things, and then said, The 2 venerable aliens? Yu Ru heard the words, and she didn't know how strong the so-called venerable aliens were, but she could vaguely guess from the mouth of Tian Wangshen that the 2 venerable aliens were it was the culprit who killed the fallen moon fairy. Exalted evil race? Xiao Yan's pupils shrank tightly upon hearing this. There are 5 levels from the weakest to the strongest. Heaven, Earth, Respect, Emperor, King. The Gorefiend left guard that Xiao Yan dealt with before should be an alien evil clan at the prefecture level, but that guy's strength almost made Xiao Yan fall. This venerable alien evil clan might be regarded as some less powerful alien evil clan. Clan leader, and there are 2. Most of the extraterritorial evil races at the heaven level are small ones, while at the earth level, there are some powerful ones. As for the noble level and above, I am afraid that the lowest level is comparable to the human level of fighting immortals. The strength of the 2 exalted alien races has been infinitely close to Do Xian, and it is not an exaggeration to say that they are the peak of Do-D. In addition to some evil methods of the alien race, Fairy Moon was actually defeated by the 2. Really the 2 exalted foreigners? Xiao Yan still couldn't believe it, and immediately asked. That's right, it's the 2 of you. Although I don't know how terrifying those 2 guys are, but I think that the 2 exalted alien races can truly kill Fairy Moon. I'm afraid the strength of those 2 guys. Tian Wangshen said hesitantly. It should be very strong. Xiao Yan said. Until now, Xiao Yan didn't understand that the reason why the devil whale needed Xiao Yan's help that day was because of these 2 exalted foreigners. And I can feel that the aura of the 2 exalted foreigners seems to be in the purple crystal palace. The next moment, the King of Heaven spoke up. Just in the Purple Crystal Palace? Xiao Yan immediately frowned upon hearing this. If the two exalted alien races are really still inside, I am afraid that inheritance and fighting spirit are attracting people, so they can only give up. After all, at this time, even if Xiao Yan used all his means, it would be quite difficult to deal with the powerhouses who had just stepped into the 8-star Do Emperor level, not to mention dealing with the extraterritorial evil clan at the peak Do Emperor level, and they were still two. It's going to be troublesome now. Xiao Yan's expression changed. Obviously this matter was too heavy. But even though the two powerful foreigners are in the Purple Palace, don't forget the female disciple of Fairy Moonlight. The female disciple of Fairy Moon was lucky enough to escape the disaster, but since Fairy Moon fell and left this relic, she has been in the palace. One is to use her mysterious power to suppress the aliens, and the other is that she seems to be waiting for someone, Tian Wangshen said with a smile. In this world, besides the power of Holy Flame, are there other things that can suppress the power of evil races outside the realm? Xiao Yan was immediately puzzled when he heard this. Saint Flame is indeed the nemesis of the alien race. Only by possessing the Holy Flame can one truly cook and kill the alien race. However, apart from the Holy Flame, there are not many things that suppress the alien race in this great world. Tian Wangshen said, so it is. Xiao Yan suddenly felt relieved when he heard the words. On the other hand, Mu Yingying seemed to have been staring at the latter ever since the Heavenly King Shen said that she would save the Heavenly Tribulation, apparently not knowing what she was thinking. Okay, next, let's help me get through the catastrophe first. If it is successful, I will follow you. I think, a fighter at the peak of the Do Emperor, you, the alchemist, should not refuse, and the rest of the things, with me, you will get a lot easier. Tian Wangshen laughed. Since that's the case, let's start. Xiao Yan immediately smiled when he heard the words, and then he didn't hesitate. The two seemed to start the calamity directly. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 833. What should we do? As the four of them looked at each other, Xiao Yan was the first to break the calm. It's very simple. After a while, the two of you will use the power of Holy Flame to help me fight the next part of the catastrophe. As for the rest, leave it to me. Although the robbery is terrifying, but the three of you, one has the inheritance rune of Fairy Moon, and the two have holy flames, obviously it won't cause much harm to you. Tian Wangshen heard the words, and immediately spoke, and there was a voice in his voice. A smile. Fight against a part of the catastrophe? Xiao Yan heard the words. In my heart, I thought about it carefully. Although Xiao Yan didn't know the horror of the heavenly robbery, he didn't have to think about it to know that under the heavenly robbery, all thoughts would be in vain. Otherwise this heavenly King Ginseng would not be so low-key and so easy to talk to them, and if it was as easy as heavenly King Ginseng said, I am afraid that Tian Wangshen will not find them. But even so, Xiao Yan had no intention of being afraid. After all, this heavenly King Ginseng was a very important thing to Xiao Yan now. As long as he helps the heavenly King Ginseng to survive the calamity, no matter if he succeeds or fails, Xiao Yan can always get the heavenly King Ginseng. After all, if Tian Wang Ginseng succeeds, it will definitely give Xiao Yan his own body, and even if it fails, Xiao Yan still has the means to save the main body of Tian Wang Ginseng, but at best, the consciousness of this Tian Wang Ginseng cannot be preserved. Leave it to me. The holy flame in your body is not a last resort, it's better to use it sparingly. Xiao Yan looked at Mu Yingying, who was a little restless, thinking that it was the sequelae left by the two Yaiquan of life and death just repaired, and immediately concerned opening. Yes. Mu Yingying heard the words and softly agreed. Obviously she didn't know what Xiao Yan was thinking, but Mu Yingying seemed to have some impressions of this catastrophe. Back then, I and my brother seemed to have a human body only after the calamity. The taste of that calamity, even Mu Yingying, who has always been aloof, is still fresh in their memories. I'm afraid I don't want to experience it once in my life. That time, Rao Yi and their siblings were well prepared and almost fell. I hope this guy doesn't fail. Mu Yingying murmured softly. I don't know if this calamity can be absorbed by the golden demon puppet. Xiao Yan murmured to himself. Today's golden demon puppet, just by virtue of its physical strength, is enough to be on a par with the powerhouses in the middle stage of the 7-star Do D. However, Xiao Yan was also undecided in his heart. After all, This heavenly robbery is something that even the heavenly king Ginseng is afraid of, and the powerhouses at the peak of Dodi are afraid. Although Xiao Yan has an idea in his heart, he does not dare to take it out rashly, otherwise the golden demon puppet will be smashed by the heavenly robbery. Yan didn't stop crying. Although this is a medicine garden, it is crowded with people. Go back a little bit, and I'll set up a barrier. Tian Wangshen said something, and then said to Xiao Yan and the others next to him. The next moment, there was an unusually attractive scent on Tianwang Ginseng. This is the heavenly king Ginseng, which is about to enter the 10,000-year level. The fragrance alone may be comparable to some magical medicine. Xiao Yan looked at the heavenly king Ginseng who was arranging the barrier, and immediately laughed. Is there any difference between the wonders of heaven and earth that have entered 10,000 years? Mu Yingying suddenly interjected at this time. Yes, I have. The wonders of heaven and earth, as long as they step into 10,000 years, will accept the baptism of catastrophe. After passing through, not only will the strength be greatly improved, but it will also be able to enter the 10,000-year level in an instant. After 10,000 years of calamity, then its strength is as strong as a human being to fight a star. But after 20,000 years, we will have to transcend the catastrophe again. One catastrophe is more dangerous than the other. The solution to this is to choose to convert to human beings when transcending the catastrophe. However, after converting to human beings, the spirituality of the original wonders of heaven and earth will be inherited. Although it is no different from ordinary humans, if it is easily discovered by other humans, I am afraid. Xiao Yan said that there was suddenly no voice here. Afraid of what? Mu Yingying asked. After the wonders of heaven and earth are converted to human beings, they will no longer survive the calamity. It is the same cultivation as human beings, but the spirituality of the wonders of heaven and earth itself is preserved. In other words, even if this heavenly king Ginseng is successfully converted to human beings, his blood and even his body still contain the spirituality of heavenly king Ginseng. Think about it, if a 1,000-year-old king Ginseng is discovered. Xiao Yan shook his head. I see. Mu Yingying nodded her head when she heard the words, and then stopped talking. After all, what Xiao Yan just said was very clear. After heaven and earth are transformed into human beings, they will inherit their original spirituality. To a certain extent, this is both a joy and a worry. The happy thing is that after the wonders of heaven and earth are converted to human beings, they not only have all the benefits of human beings, but also inherit their own spirituality from the past, and the speed of cultivation is not to mention how fast. The worry is that the strength of human beings will be greatly reduced if the wonders of heaven and earth have just been converted into human beings. If others find out their true identity, I am afraid they will only make dowries for others in vain. 10,000 years ago, the strength was comparable to the level of human beings fighting immortals. What the asterisk are these guys doing? Not far from Xiao Yan's group, Wang Xie and Guni were slowly lurking. Apparently the two had been following Xiao Yan for a while. I don't know, but this silver light curtain smells like an enchantment. Wang Xie said with vigilance in his eyes. Boundary? Gunny was surprised when he heard the words. It's indeed a barrier, and looking at the strength of this barrier, I'm afraid it's not comparable to an ordinary barrier. Guni probed the silver light curtain the next moment, but the message to Guni was in this way. At this time, the two were hiding behind a huge stone, but not far from the two, the scene was extremely huge, and a silver light curtain appeared about tens of meters. Okay. After a while, Tian Wangshen smiled slowly. I can't tell, this barrier is pretty solid? Xiao Yan couldn't help but say something. Based on Xiao Yan's perception, he naturally knew that this barrier was cast by Tian Wangshen with the help of some other things. The two of you will adjust, and let me know when you're done. I want to lead out the catastrophe. After Tian Wangshen finished speaking, he ran errands left and right, and then stopped talking. The two of you will be careful for a while. This catastrophe is extremely terrifying. Don't be affected. Xiao Yan did not forget to instruct the two daughters, then closed his eyes and rested himself, ready to strike at any time. Mu Yingying and Yueru looked at each other and didn't do anything, but walked aside very wisely. They all knew that the movement these two guys made might not be small. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 834. Let's start. After a while, Xiao Yan opened his eyes slightly and said something to the heavenly King Shen. Are you ready? Tian Wangshen heard the words, and immediately opened his mouth. With his senses, he seemed to be able to sense that Xiao Yan was very different, and that aura was extremely mysterious. However, Tian Wangshen is extremely smart, so he didn't ask much, because he understands that in the human world, everyone will have some secrets, but as long as it doesn't endanger his own life, it's not a big deal. Xiao Yan responded casually, and then the khaki-colored holy flames poured out like a tide in his body. What a terrifying flame! It deserves to be a holy flame. Heavenly King Ginseng's eyesight is naturally extraordinary. When Xiao Yan's holy flame was just born, he knew that this guy's flame was definitely holy flame. After all, the only thing that could make him feel vaguely uneasy is Sheng Yan. I declare in advance, I didn't help others to survive the catastrophe, so I only promise to do my best. Xiao Yan seemed to have concerns, and immediately said, "This matter still has to be said in advance, otherwise this guy will bite back in the end." "Don't worry, your words are enough." Tian Wangshen heard the words and smiled slightly. He knew what Xiao Yan meant by these words. After all, although he had promised a lot, if he fell, Xiao Yan would have wasted his efforts. "You two step back to the edge. Let's start." The next moment, Xiao Yan didn't bother to talk nonsense with this guy, so he spoke immediately. "Yes." The second daughter and Tian Wangshen agreed at the same time. "I've waited too long for this day. Actually, I don't know what's going on. Ever since I missed 9,000 years, the 9,000 years heavenly tribulation has been vaguely appearing, but fortunately I didn't touch it." Covered with silver light, circles of silver aura continued to emerge from the body, and the entire body became extremely mysterious under the cover of this silver light. 10,000 years tribulation, give it to me. With the explosion of Tianwang Ginseng, the space above the medicine garden shook slightly, and a terrifying aura that shook the world slowly condensed on the medicine garden. What is that? Wudu's eyesight was extremely sharp, and the first time he discovered the extremely strange day above the medicine garden. The current strength of the 5 poisons can be said to be in the middle stage of the 7-star Do Emperor, and he is trembling slightly in the face of that terrifying aura. It seems a bit like a thundercloud. However, this aura is dozens of times stronger than Leiyan. Could it be that Xiao Yan and the others have already found the medicinal materials and started refining the Leiyan produced by the medicinal pill? Mu Feng, who was beside him, was also surprised. Thundercloud? I don't think so, and even if you want to refine an elixir that triggers this level, I'm afraid a few days will not be enough. Wu Po said with a casual glance. Okay, we still need some medicinal herbs. After we find it, we will join Xiao Yan and the others immediately. After the 5 poisons finished speaking, Zaidu and the 2 women searched around in the forest. What kind of fluctuation is that? It's terrifying. Leng Fuyao was here. Leng Fuyao, relying on the pharmacist's perception, immediately noticed the strange aura above the sky, and immediately spoke. What a terrifying aura. Seeing this, Qin Xin raised her head as well, but there was a hint of doubt in her eyes. This thing, could it be a catastrophe? The heavenly tribulation that the fighting immortal powerhouses have survived? After a while, Qin Xin was suddenly surprised. Obviously, this fluctuation, this breath, was exactly the same as what was described in the book. No, that's because the wonders of heaven and earth have a lifespan of tens of thousands of years. Leng Fuyao couldn't believe it when he heard the words. It should be right. At this time, Shu Qi said. Looking in that direction, it should be where Xiao Yan and the others are. Let's go. We've already searched here. We don't have any medicinal materials Xiao Yan needs. Let's go and meet them. Shu Qi said, and then walked around. After all, Yueru was alone. Shu Qi really didn't rest assured. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, where the medicine garden was in the sky, thunder suddenly rolled. However, the outside world can't find it. After all, this medicine garden is isolated by a layer of mysterious power. This is the calamity? Although Xiao Yan's figures were isolated by the enchantment isolated only a few of them. As for the calamity, it was above everyone. This is just the beginning. Why, are you afraid? Tian Wangshen kept releasing silver power with his hands towards the day, apparently not knowing what he was doing. I'm not afraid, it's just that this thunder, as you said, is different from our life and death catastrophe and even the Dan Thunder catastrophe. Xiao Yan said. With his keen perception, Xiao Yan was able to feel a destructive wave from the heavenly tribulation formed by cultivation above the top of the medicine garden at this time. There is no doubt that if Xiao Yan is left to deal with it alone at this time, I am afraid that Xiao Yan will end up in a ruined end. Heavenly tribulation is about to happen. As time passed by, Tianwangshen suddenly spoke, his voice full of urgency. I know. Hearing this, Xiao Yan gritted his teeth, and then the dazzling khaki-colored holy flames all over his body directly submerged into the calamity. This catastrophe is also strange. The catastrophe covered the entire medicine garden, and the color of the thunder of catastrophe turned out to be weird and exactly the same as the ginseng of heavenly kings. It is also silver. Go! Xiao Yan mobilized his huge soul power, subtly controlled the khaki holy flame, and went to the densest place in the calamity. You are responsible for stopping other thunderbolts for me. As for the calamity, what other people can do is to lighten the burden, but we still have to rely on ourselves for the real step. After Tianwangshen finished speaking, he took a step towards the void in front of him, and then smiled at Xiao Yan. The next moment, the figure burst into motion, directly strung into the silver calamity. This guy is really daring. Seeing this, Xiao Yan didn't dare to relax, and he continued to deliver holy flames, but at this time, Wang Shen was completely submerged in the heavenly tribulation. Come on, with the weakening of the holy flame, I don't believe that you can still get me in this catastrophe. Tianwangshen fell into the catastrophe, and his eyes suddenly did not hide, and he directly hit the silver catastrophe thunder in the sky. Among thunderbolt. In the silver catastrophe, waves of destruction like waves hit directly on the human body of the heavenly king Ginseng. Boom boom boom. ZZ. The sound of thunderbolts continued to sound, and Wang Shen's complexion finally became strange that day. This body is not a real human after all. A hint of helplessness appeared at the corner of Tianwangshen's mouth, and then the human man's body suddenly shattered like glass. And as the human prosthesis of the king Ginseng was broken, the king Ginseng also revealed its main body. One more night. End of this chapter.